Hello friends and fam, enlightened beings, Hardcore Yoga here. So this video, the topic is celibacy, divine communion, and promiscuity. So this has been a very relevant topic in my life. I've certainly been channeling some insights around this topic, especially due to an array of experiences lately. I suppose I have read and consumed content on this topic, or this collection of topics, but I've really had some pertinent experiences, and that's why I wanted to channel this for you now. So yeah, let's crack into it. I'll start by saying this. Some of the highest level people that I've met, including both men and women, especially several women, they have all done long streaks of celibacy. Myself included, I have really enjoyed several solid streaks of celibacy. And when I say this, I also mean continence as well. So retain the seed and the energy and manifest, channel your creative energy, etc. So I believe, and by the way, I love the practice of that. I really do. And I'm not trying to do virtue signaling, but rather I just want to speak to the topic because I do believe it is such an important topic for well-being, and helping to share and create well-being is a part of my passion and my path. So that's the true intention behind me wanting to share this. But this video is not about semen retention and the benefits of. That's not the whole topic. It might be part of it, but the topic, it's about celibacy, divine union, and promiscuity. So anyway, what I want to say to start off with is that, yeah, as I said, some of the highest level people I've met have done long streaks of celibacy. Some of them up to a year. Other times, just a few months at a time. And as I said, I've enjoyed that process a lot myself. And there are such strong benefits to that practice for both men and women, although I believe the benefits are quite different for men and women, and we will speak about that. And what I see as the ideal way of being, if you are really wanting to be at the highest levels of consciousness and of holistic well-being, I believe the best way of being is either to be celibate or to be in divine union. So what is divine union? Let us define this term. My definition of it is essentially like the most high-level romance possible, like a true heartfelt connection and a true mind-body-spirit connection. You are both on the utmost path of development. You both have the fullest resonance. And when you have that platform of connection and intimacy, you then can get into sexual alchemy. You can get into the tantra, the sexual kung fu, sex magic, Taoism, or sexual Taoism. And in that is a tool for really cultivating and channeling the sexual energy and going into mystical states, using that energy to go into union with the divine, to go into expanded states of expanded insight and inspiration, to even allow past traumas to bubble up and then to be healed and resolved. There are so many profound practices in that domain of sexual alchemy. But in order to really do that high-level practice, you need to have a very high benchmark for who you do it with. It needs to be someone who is willing to go there to that level with you. And it's not always pretty and beautiful. Like sometimes the work of that and the stuff that comes up during that, it can be mucky and messy and choppy. It can be challenging, but so growth inducing. But at the same time, it can also be so so divine and beautiful and transcendent. So yeah, that's a big part of sexual union, you know? It's that sexual alchemy and the arts of that. But even beyond, even like, you know, beyond sex, it's just co-creating an amazing life. So, yes, we have those two like practices, celibacy and divine union. Then we have promiscuity. I will speak on celibacy shortly and the benefits of it for men and women. A sort of just an overview of the benefits that are relevant in this transmission. But coming into promiscuity, right, so I really do see it as a vice. And I'm not wanting to be judgmental, you know, like, I believe we've all gone through phases and stages of being promiscuous. If we're fortunate enough to have done that, you know, like, I know people, both men and women, who have been promiscuous, who have had chapters of having a high volume, a high turnover of lovers. I have had my own chapters of that. As recent as 2 or 3 years ago, I have had my chapters of wanting to really bolster my experience, my volume of experience with lovers, and I have done that. I could give you numbers, maybe I don't think I'll bother with numbers, but I have literally done the high turnover of high volume for some time, and it made me physically sick. Like, not even judgment, but literally it lowered my immune system, and I got some pathogens and I got sick. It's just a waste of energy and life force when you have a high volume of partners and it's not that highest level quality. And it really comes from a place of lack. It is an addiction and a drug because you're seeking for something external to fulfill a void. And it's a crutch which is maladaptive, which it's not life affirming, it is life depleting. It feels good in the moment, but it is life depleting. We'll get into that also. And coming into celibacy, right, so the benefits of celibacy. And as we illuminate the benefits of celibacy, it'll also illuminate some of the drawbacks of being promiscuous. So yeah, one friend of mine reflected it in this phrasing, which I enjoyed. She said, celibacy is the most optimal way of living in between divine unions. And it's so true. Now, I want to get into why or how celibacy flowers differently in men and women. Now, obviously, I can only speak to men in terms of experience because I'm a man, so I only know the experiential version of a man's celibacy. But I've had a number of women tell me about their celibacy journey as well. So for a woman, I believe the sort of outcome compared to men is it's much more psychological. They really gain higher levels of self-love and self-worth because they really get to know themselves and what they like. And they also realize that they don't need a man to feel love, but that love emanates from them in every breath, and they are the source of love. And with that comes self-love. So, and also just getting to know themselves and what they like without just following some man's lead. And it's good to follow a man's lead if that's the sexual pole, but yeah, a woman gains so much of her own self-love, self-knowledge, self-worth when she does celibacy. So her benefits are very psychological. Whereas with a man, I believe the benefits are more, in a sense, physical, but also beyond. But with a man, I think the effects, it's really about, we get a lot more drive and ambition and much more vital energy and the build-up of chi and charge. Because a woman, by default, loses her seed and her vital energy once a month through the period. So she's on that cycle of, you know, sort of higher energy, lower energy, higher energy, lower energy. She has a cycle to her energy. When a man ejaculates, he does go on a menstrual cycle in a way because he has gone from higher energy, arousal, desire to then lower. But then when a man retains, that chi, it never gets lost and it actually just keeps on building up a deep well, a deep reservoir of sexual energy. And when you transmute it through, yoga, qigong, meditation, when you, and even like any practice at all, when you really transmute that energy, there's like an extra creative buzz to it. And yeah, the man, he gains so much when he retains the seed. He gains so much, whether you label it as chi, vital energy, jing, sexual energy, dopamine, hormones, testosterone, like neurochemicals, neurotransmitters, dopamine, I said that. Just productivity, because you're not spending your time elsewhere, So so much is gained for a man. But yeah, that's how a flower is different to me, right? What a man gains when he does his celibacy is he gains vital energy and chi and drive. And then he transmutes it to the highest purpose of drive. And for a woman, it is that self-love, self-knowledge, self-worth. So yeah, like celibacy and divine union. And then the only sort of other option is like having a sort of low bar and just being promiscuous and having sex for more base desires or just to fill a void of some stimulation, excitement, comfort. And when this happens, there is a expenditure of life force energy and a depletion of it. Now for a man, obviously, when you lose the seed, you lose so much. You lose that energy. But even women have told me that they do experience some ill effects when they do sleep around and sleep with people not of the highest caliber for them. Like one woman told me, when she takes in a man's energy and it's not complementary with hers, it's like normally she has this beautiful aura and energy going up the center line, and with that energy is just like a connection to life and like a unconditional love. But when someone else's energy has been inside and it's not complementary, it kind of makes the aura more cloudy and it obstructs one's own energy flow. So yeah, if you just be sensitive enough to reflect on the effects after sex in that way, you probably will notice that. And other people have said that, yeah, an orgasm is exhausting to the body, regardless of if you're a man or a woman. Now, obviously it is to a man. I think most men know that. Non-ejaculatory orgasms, that's a different can of worms. Maybe that can charge you. But I always thought maybe women can gain energy from an orgasm. But some women have said, no, even if they have an orgasm, it does exhaust the nervous system. And they may be glowing afterwards, but they're not going to be high energy. So even a woman may well retain and build up that vital sexual energy by not orgasming as much. But I would suggest each woman, experiment with it. With a conscious meditative practice, experience orgasm of multiple kinds, see how you feel after it. Abstain for like a week, 2 weeks, a month, see how you feel. The jury is open on that one, So yeah, when you retain, you really do cultivate more energy, and it gets transmuted to the higher energy centers. You become more etheric, more divinely inspired. There's a holism in that. It is profound. So yeah, why would you just waste your energy and go breaking hearts and, spending so much time in managing interpersonal relationships, if it's not really complementary and really aligned, yeah, I do believe promiscuity, it can be an addiction and a vice. I've had my addiction, mine is a different substance to that, but I've had it. And yeah, just on a side note, I've learned that for addiction, there is no moderation, there is only abstinence. It's either abstinence or the addiction cycle. So if you have an addiction to something, it's only abstinence. That's what works. But then everything else can be moderation, perhaps. But anyway, that was a slight tangent. So coming back, right, so we've spoken about how celibacy can be so beneficial to both men and women. And then divine union, how the only reason you would come out of celibacy is divine union. And then promiscuity is a vice that is not needed. And not even a judgment of negative emotion or toxic emotion, but simply discernment. So I like to make a distinction between judgment and discernment. So judgment is like toxic emotion being projected. And then discernment is the ability to know that which is destructive. So you can discern if a certain person or a certain influence is destructive and not life-affirming. So it's really relevant to know that difference, to have discernment. Or not even to know what is destructive, but to know what is true. That's what discernment is. It is to see what is true. So yeah. This is something else I will compare. See, I have had experience with celibacy. To be frank, I've only had a few months. Like a few times I've done between 3 to 1 months of pure celibacy, retain the seed, etc. I've had a few months in my life of it. I've experienced a great benefit. I've also had divine union, that most amazing connection. I've had that. So worth it. So I want to speak from my experience just about the difference between them. Because they're both like the pinnacle of existence, in my opinion. But what's the differences and what's the similarities of celibacy and divine union? So what they share in common is that they both include the cultivation and the channeling of sexual energy. And when that happens, it becomes extremely creative. So that's what they share in common. How they differ is that with divine union, you cultivate and channel that energy, and it's being channeled into or spent on a 50-50 collaboration and co-creation of the life you are creating together. So that's where the energy is being spent. With pure celibacy, 100% of that energy is being spent on your own path, nothing more and nothing less. Now, I believe for some chapters, perhaps celibacy is more expansive. For other chapters, divine union is more expansive. So you're just going to feel into it at the time. I really feel myself going on to a long streak of celibacy. I had this big realization a few days ago, or a week ago. See, I was thinking about what I'm going to be doing and accomplishing next year, and it's quite a lot. So I'm going to be studying 2 different courses. One will be a Cert 4 in youth work, just upskilling a bit in my job. That's going to be an intensive 3-month course. The other thing, I'm going to study Zen Tai Shiatsu here at Sunshine Coast. That goes for about 9 months. So I'm doing that, and then publishing my book, Handbook of a Modern Yogi. So, and then just working, connecting with the tribe. Another big thing I'm going to be doing is actually advancing my yoga practice more. So I'm going to be doing more intensive sort of study and practice, and teaching more and being a student more in local studios around here. Keep an eye out for that, and please give me any leads if you know of a place looking for a teacher. Because I feel all this extra energy. I'm feeling the increase in my celibacy streak coming up again. And normally I channel that extra energy into strength training. But now I'm thinking I actually am really enjoying my yoga practice. So I want to channel that energy into advancing more in my yoga technical knowledge and skill. So yeah, what I'm getting at here, I've got a lot going on that year. I'm thinking about next year, and there's a lot happening, studying those several things, publish a book, develop more in yoga and teach more. And I thought, man, when I first got to Sunny Coast, I was thinking to myself, I would love to meet a new girl, the right girl. I am open to meeting her. And I did meet various women, you know, nothing progressed yet, but just meeting, befriending, getting leads, and just networking in general. And, but since then, I was thinking like, because I've got so much I really want to accomplish next year, and I feel so much ambition and drive towards that, I really feel compelled to have a long streak of celibacy and to just channel all that energy into those things. You know, even if it's for a year, a bit more, bit less, I don't know, but I'm really considering that. So that's a big thing, right? So I guess what wants to come through there is just acknowledging that pure celibacy, it is an ultimate tool for achieving something productive. That's what I'm getting at. And there are chapters of life for that. And then there are other chapters of life for divine union and sharing and co-creating something. You know, there are chapters for that. One more thing wants to come through that I can think of, at least one more thing relating to celibacy and divine union. Some people might think like, what if you meet someone and you sort of are thinking, oh, they are great, they are on the level of divine union, yeah, going to go into that. Then you realize there was illusion and you were projecting good qualities because you had the urge to connect, you know, you had the urge to be in union with someone, but then they're not all that you thought they were. I have a great method for overcoming this, and I'm not the first to think of this, but if you're really into these practices, what you can do is get to know someone and don't rush into the sex. This resonates with me so much right now, right? Get to know someone, but don't rush into the sex. And you can communicate this really clearly from the start. You can be like, look, I'm really into celibacy. I really value this. But I am also open and interested to meet the right person and then commune with them. So I'm wanting to just go much more slow on the physical and get to know someone more thoroughly before connecting in that way. And you can still gradually increase like the intimate touch. You know, you can have intimate touch in a variety of ways and gradually escalate that. But to really draw out that physical escalation, I see it as so valuable. And it's a way to separate the wheat from the chaff, because if that person is not open to it and they're just after more quick sex, it's obvious they're not on that level that you are on. But if they are on that level, then they would be happy to do that. So I highly recommend that. So yeah, I think that's all that wants to come through me for now. Yeah, just a couple of things now, like sort of updates and before parting ways. So some of you may know that I'm publishing a book. I did mention it in this video, so obviously you know now. I've written the whole manuscript. I've edited it like 2.5 times, and I'm currently in the process of self-publishing. And I have a crowdfunding, like a fundraiser for this book, because it does cost quite a bit to self-publish a book with all the professional editing, the formatting, visual design, and then distribution, getting it on the various distribution channels, both digital and hard copy, you know, print on demand, and then also the marketing campaign. It costs about 10 grand, and I have a crowdfunding campaign for this. I'll put the link either in this post or below. So if you donate $30 to this cause, what happens is when the book is published, I will send you a hard copy of the book, even covering the shipping cost. And even if you send $20, I'll give you a soft copy of the book. So yeah, that's how crowdfunding works. You pitch in money now, and then when that all helps to fund the campaign, and I'm willing to put some of my own money in the campaign too, but when it gets created, you get paid back in the project itself. I'd love to share it with you. You know, this book is about yoga, holistic health, higher consciousness, and then social health and social sustainability, engineering a truly healthy and sustainable society. It is a large scope, I know. So yeah, I encourage you to check out the GoFundMe page. It's super cool. And And one more thing, yeah, yoga studios. So if you have any leads for me on that, that's awesome. So I've been really enjoying my yoga. I've done a few casual classes at a few different yoga studios in Sunny Coast, and I'm looking to start teaching at one or several classes again, be a member and a student of them also. Because if you didn't know, I've been a yoga teacher for a few years now. I did it for like a year and a half straight in Townsville, North Queensland. Between 2 to 4 classes every week for 18 months. COVID wiped it out, then I took a break. I needed some change. But yeah, man, I'm on the yogic path for life, and I now have the renewed inspiration and motivation to not only take up where I left off with my level of skill of it as a teacher and a practitioner, but to literally proactively upskill. Because I am quite advanced already, but I know I can get more advanced. And every teacher has their own unique strengths and then areas that they could work on. So I am on the path of development in that, yet I also have some solid experience, like a year and a half straight every week. I guess that's why I needed a break. So yeah, anyway, sending so much peace and so much love. Get after it, son. Namaste.